Hi everyone, welcome to HOA Fight Club. I'm Raylene Schifano, and today I'd like to talk about if you decide to file a lawsuit against your HOA or condo association. I have filed a lawsuit against my HOA. I filed it over a year ago, and in the part of that process, I had a lot of decisions to make before I did that. First of all, when I decided to file a lawsuit, it came with a lot of thought process. When you file a lawsuit against your HOA, you're first of all suing yourself. Second of all, you're suing your neighbors. And when I met my neighbors, I really fell in love with them. They became my friends and my family. I take care of my neighbors. I go to the doctors with them. I am best friends with one of them. One of them works for me. So as I moved into this neighborhood, I became really close to my neighbors when we found out what the board was doing to all the homeowners. So in the process of fighting the HOA, I found many friends and family. So filing a lawsuit against my HOA could really hurt my friends and family, especially if it added up to a huge amount of money in the end and caused them special assessments for them to pay for. That is a huge burden to know that you might be costing other people many amounts of money. So we tried to push the filing of a lawsuit off for years when we were being bullied and harassed for fines that we didn't actually commit. We had thought about filing a lawsuit then, and we decided to let it go at that time after we had settled that part of our issues with the HOA. Unfortunately, the HOA didn't decide to let it go at that time. So then we had to go back and reevaluate when we had the damages in the home. So those are just a few things that you need to think about. Then when you do decide to file your lawsuit, finding an attorney. Let's talk about attorneys. You already know my opinion on HOA attorneys and how I don't think that a lot of them are very ethical. So what do you do when you're looking for an attorney if nobody actually represents the homeowners? So in Washington State, I went to Elena Garella. If you need a good attorney, that is who you are going to call in Washington State, because she is amazing. She was not an HOA attorney, but she learned the laws quickly. She has a couple partners now, and she took the time to learn the laws and to work with me because I knew the laws. So between the two of us, we put the laws together and fought my case together. So Elena Garella, perfect. She's in Seattle. She's wonderful. That's who you're going to call. If you're in another state, you really want to look for an attorney that's probably not an HOA attorney, but maybe a constitutional attorney or a corporation's attorney. HOA do not have to follow the corporate laws. I know people say that, oh, you should check the corporate laws. I've tried to enforce corporate laws on my association, and the Attorney General's office and the Secretary of State's office will not enforce any corporation laws on HOAs, at least in Washington State. And I haven't heard of anybody doing it in any other state. I don't know of any attorney generals doing anything to help homeowners in HOAs or condo associations. So when you look for an attorney, probably not looking for an HOA attorney, and tell them the situation. Make them understand the laws. Make them understand that the HOA attorney is going to delay, deny, and deflect all damages, just so they're prepared, and that you are not an empty bank account, and that you will expect for them to do what they're supposed to do and get some results. And if they don't get results, that your contract needs to reflect that if they don't get results, that they might not get paid for their results, or they get paid a lesser amount. You can negotiate your contract. I negotiated my contract, and it was a fair contract between my attorney and myself. So then let's go on to, if your HOA sues you, you need to make sure you do the same thing. Find an attorney quickly. Many people try to fight their HOAs by themselves because it is expensive. You can't afford to hire an attorney. This is not the way to go. One thing I've learned is that attorneys are part of a club, and you're not invited to their club if you haven't passed the bar. And if you go to court by yourselves, those attorneys are going to treat you, and I think even the judges are going to treat you as if you don't go there, and they don't give you the respect that you need. So even if you do everything else up to before you go to court, make sure that you have an attorney with you when you go to court, because nothing is fair in HOA. So then gathering your evidence. Evidence is really important in HOA, and it's really, really hard to get. Before you file your lawsuit against your HOA, make sure that you go to the property management company, get a review of all documents of the HOA, all bank statements, and any sort of communications between the attorneys that you can get or the property managers you can get. In Washington State, they're supposed to show you everything that the HOA has except for private communications or attorney-client privilege. So when I was going to file my lawsuit, I actually went up to the property management company and went through the HOA's 18 boxes that they had, all the documents from the HOA in those boxes. So when I went to court, I didn't go to court, I went to mediation. I had everything. I had saved every email, every text message, everything that the property managers and attorneys had sent me. And the day of mediation, those came in very, very handy to settle that case. So make sure that you save everything. That one little malicious email or a board saying something in writing is very, very important. And that's the other thing. Don't call them. Always put everything in writing so that they know that they're going to be held responsible. Everything in writing. I don't care if you're in good standing with your board and your board is wonderful. Everything you do with that association needs to be put in writing. Everything. All right, so then let's keep everything professional. I know it's really emotional in HOA when you are fighting for your home, but there has to be a professional line that you have to keep. This was really hard. So as I'm fighting my case, I had to become a corporate officer. All of us are corporate officers that are part of a corporation. And when you go in to deal with attorneys, they are going to treat you that way. They're not going to treat you like this poor homeowner that is, being hurt or rights violated. They're going to treat you as if you were a corporate officer and should have known everything that you signed. So you need to make sure that you learn everything, because they're going to expect you to know that since you signed those documents. Then let's go on to the next one. Let's talk about depositions. When I went into a deposition, everything they said was, it was my fault. It was my husband's fault. We were at fault for it. Why didn't we fix our home? Why didn't we do it? Well, the problem with us fixing the inside of our home was if they didn't fix the outside of our home, the inside wasn't going to make any difference. So make sure that you don't let them bully you in a deposition. Be honest, but be very, very short and sweet with your answers. Yes and no works the best. So all my answers were as short as I could make them, and were very honest with the attorneys that were asking me questions. The day of mediation was a crazy day. Nobody leaves happy after mediation. And if you don't leave happy, that means the judge or the mediator did their job. Because nobody should be happy after mediation as long as it's settled. If it's not settled, then that's another reason mediation didn't work. In my case, mediation worked. Of course, we weren't happy with the results, but we did settle and we are going to be out of this. So make sure you know that in HOA, you're probably not going to get the outcome that you think you're going to get due to the fact that there's no tort and no malicious intent damages are really hard to get, that you are not going to get pain and suffering. So be realistic with that. when you go to court, if you make it to court, there's a difference between a bench trial, which is with just a judge, and a jury trial. If you go to a jury trial, those jurors could be everything you want them to be or everything you don't want them to be. Those jurors might think, oh, you are a horrible person for suing your association and suing all those other homeowners. So be careful before you think that that's what you want, whether you want a jury trial or a judge trial. Those are another thing that you and your attorney will have to discuss and go over so that you know what's best for your case. Make sure before you file a lawsuit that you have damages to get paid for, that you're not going to just file a lawsuit and then have hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of attorney's fees and that's all that you get paid for. Going through this is not worth the time and effort it takes if you're not going to get anything out of it in the end except for your attorney's fees. It's just not worth it. So in the end, make sure that you have everything that you need prior to filing that lawsuit. And make sure that you know that a lawsuit with an HOA can last anywhere from 2 to 10 years. Every attorney will try to delay, deny, and deflect. That's my advice for today. See you on the next one.